The biggest misconception that you had as a child? I thought being fired from work meant that the fired person gets killed. Every time my mom would tell me and my sisters not to bother her or she could get fired from work, she partially worked from home, I assumed that her boss would come into her office and literally shoot her. I was so terrified that my mom would get in any trouble at work, that there was absolutely no way I'd ever get to be as old as the adults in my life. For some reason it seemed more likely to me that I could become a dog than that I could age into even a 15-year-old. In the 70s I was 8 I remember asking my mom if I would live to see the year 2000. She said I would, though I didn't believe her. To a child, 25 years is a long time. Now 25 years seems like a blink of an eye. My parents weren't raised in the US, but they tried to make sure my siblings and I got the whole American experience, so they tried introducing us to Christmas and even sent us to Christian summer camps. For some reason this caused a sort of confusion in my mind, and I thought Santa was God, and I was never corrected because my parents didn't understand Christianity or Christmas. I thought you wrote Christmas summer camp, and I was very interested. Edit, I see you Southern Hemisphere, but just to clarify, I meant a Christmas-themed camp taking place in July. That my dad just always knew the way. On vacation in unfamiliar cities everywhere. I learned about maps and reading road signs later. Edit, wow, thanks for the gold edit too, spelling. I'm still amazed that people managed to drive somewhere new without GPS. If you missed an exit on the highway, you would basically end up in a different state. Judging by the way people cut across 4 lanes of traffic rather than spend a few extra minutes turning around at the next exit, I feel like there are some adults that still think this is true. All that you needed to do to get pregnant was get married. For whatever reason, I always thought limes were just unripe lemons. When I was in my early 20s, I went to buy a lemon tree, and was so confused to see they had lime and lemon trees. I feel like an idiot every time I think of it. This lime/lemon thing is especially confusing for non-native English speakers. Where I live, limes and lemons are just 2 different types of lemon. Edit, did a quick search and scientifically speaking turns out they are 2 different species of the citrus genus. A lemon yellow is Citrus limon. A lime green is Citrus latifolia. I thought a potluck was where everyone brought food to a party and put it all in one giant pot. Then you would scoop out a plate full and whatever you got was your luck. Edit, thank you for the award. My first one. Underneath the floor of a building was just an endless void. I thought people who replaced floors were incredibly brave, so I always told my parents I wanted to replace floors. I would bury coins in my backyard so I could dig them up next year and be rich. What does porn glorify that actually isn't that I thought having a job was just you picking NSFW. A company you like waltz in, find an lesbians empty spot with and terrifying fake something. Nails. I had no concept of sand or and all the paperwork involved. My mum always told me that if I got lost or separated from her while out in public and couldn't find a police officer, I should seek out the nearest woman with children. Her reasoning was obviously that another mother would be a good kind of stranger to talk to, much more likely to help and less likely to harm a lost child. My reasoning, however, was that if I somehow never found my own mum again, I could and would just go home with the woman and have new siblings to play with so I wouldn't get lonely. My mom always said the same thing. It actually worked. I was a teenager flying home alone on what was only my second time on a plane. Departure flight was my first. The plane was having malfunctions and needed to make an emergency landing in another city. The next flight home wasn't until 2 p.m. the next day. I was just a kid and had to figure out how to get a hotel room and a cab there and get back on a new flight the next day. This was before cell phones and laptops were mainstream. So I found a mom with kids. She made sure I got dinner, gave me a quarter for a payphone call home, squished me into a cab with her family, checked me into the hotel, got me back to the airport the next day and sat with me on the flight home. I stayed in touch with her for a while via AM. I still think about her kindness every now and then with gratitude 20 years later.